The Sigma male is often described as mysterious, independent, and self-reliant. He is seen as the one who walks outside the crowd, refusing to play by the same rules as everyone else. People admire his strength and his ability to stand alone, and many Sigma males pride themselves on their self-awareness. But even with all that independence and clarity, there are things the Sigma male does not fully understand about himself. No one is perfect, and no identity is without blind spots. For the Sigma male, some of those blind spots are hidden inside the very traits that make him stand out. Independence can hide weaknesses as well as strengths. Solitude can be both healing and harmful. Even the Sigma label itself can sometimes get in the way of deeper self-knowledge. In this video, we will explore 6 things the Sigma male doesn't always understand about himself. These are not criticisms but insights that bring balance. They show that strength is not only about standing alone, but also about knowing where you might be fooling yourself. Thing number 1 is that the Sigma label is more myth than truth, and relying on it too much can limit self-awareness. Thing number 2 is that Sigma males are often more social than they admit, even if they prefer solitude. Thing number 3 is that they can romanticize solitude so much that it blinds them to connection. Thing number 4 is that independence sometimes hides avoidance of vulnerability. Thing number 5 is that they may underestimate the importance of connection in life. And thing number 6 is that independence doesn't make them infallible. They still have blind spots and weaknesses. By the end, you'll see that being Sigma isn't about being flawless. It's about being aware of both strengths and limitations and using that awareness to grow. Thing number 1. The label is more myth than truth. One of the first things the Sigma male doesn't always understand about himself is that the label he identifies with is more myth than truth. The idea of a Sigma male is not a scientific category or a personality type recognized in psychology. It started in online discussions and spread through social media, becoming a way to describe men who live outside traditional hierarchies. While it captures certain traits well, it is also a simplified picture that can limit self-awareness if taken too seriously. The myth of the Sigma label is appealing because it offers clarity. Many men who never fit into the alpha or beta categories found a place in the Sigma idea. It explained their independence, their quiet confidence, and their dislike of social games. But the danger comes when the label becomes a box. Instead of helping, it can restrict. For example, a man may believe that being Sigma means he must always reject authority, avoid groups, or live in solitude. But real life is more complex. There are times when teamwork matters, when leadership is needed, and when connection is valuable. If the label is followed too strictly, the Sigma male might deny parts of himself that don't fit the description. Another issue is that the Sigma label is romanticized online. Many posts and videos exaggerate the archetype, making Sigma males look like flawless lone wolves who always win in life. This creates pressure to live up to an image that isn't realistic. A Sigma male may think he is failing if he ever feels lonely, makes mistakes, or needs help. But none of those things take away his strength. They simply make him human. The truth is that the Sigma label works best as a tool, not an identity. It can describe certain tendencies, but it should never define the entire person. By holding too tightly to the label, Sigma males risk missing their own individuality. They might forget that they are more than an archetype. They are people with unique experiences, strengths, and weaknesses. What the Sigma male doesn't always understand is that the label can be both helpful and harmful. It can give insight, but it can also become a mask. Real strength comes from self-awareness beyond the label, knowing when to use it and when to set it aside. Thing number 2, you may be more social than you admit. Another thing the Sigma male doesn't always understand about himself is that he may be more social than he admits. Sigma males often describe themselves as lone wolves who thrive in solitude. And it's true, they value independence and often recharge alone. But this doesn't mean they are antisocial. In fact, many Sigma males are surprisingly adaptable in social settings, even if they don't always realize it. The reason this becomes a blind spot is because Sigma males often identify strongly with solitude. They believe they are separate from the crowd, and they avoid being defined by social approval. But in practice, many Sigma males are good at reading people, connecting deeply, and blending into groups when they choose. Their independence gives them a quiet confidence that often draws others in. For example, at a party or social event, a Sigma male may stand back at first, observing. He might think of himself as detached, uninterested in the group dynamic. But when someone approaches him, the conversation often flows easily. Because he values honesty, he skips small talk and dives into meaningful subjects. People find this refreshing, and they connect with him more than he expects. Another example is at work. Sigma males often avoid office politics, but they still build respect and rapport with colleagues. Their calm presence and problem-solving ability make them natural leaders, even if they don't seek the role. They may not think of this as being social, but it is. It's a form of connection that shows they're not as isolated as they believe. This adaptability comes from emotional intelligence. Sigma males read people well, not because they want to manipulate, but because they observe closely. They notice patterns, moods, and behavior. This awareness makes them effective communicators, even if they claim not to care about socializing. The blind spot here is that Sigma males sometimes deny their social strengths. They focus so much on independence that they overlook their ability to connect. But being social doesn't weaken their identity, it adds balance. It shows that solitude is a choice, not a limitation. What the Sigma male doesn't always understand is that he isn't cut off from people. He's selective. He avoids shallow interaction, but when the right people are around, he can be deeply social. Recognizing this strength doesn't take away his independence, it enhances it. Thing number 3, you're susceptible to romanticizing solitude. One of the biggest blind spots for a Sigma male is that he can easily romanticize solitude. On the surface, there is nothing wrong with loving your own company. In fact, solitude can be healthy, giving space for reflection, creativity, and growth. The problem comes when solitude is no longer a balanced choice, but becomes an excuse to avoid connection. Sigma males often see themselves as strong because they can live without constant social contact. They are not afraid to dine alone, travel alone, or spend hours in thought. They interpret this as independence, and in many ways it is. But independence can quietly shift into isolation without the Sigma realizing it. When solitude is idealized too much, it blinds them to the value of healthy relationships. For example, a Sigma male might tell himself he doesn't need friends or a partner because solitude is superior. He may believe that being alone keeps him free and strong. While there is truth in this, it can also become a barrier. He may miss opportunities for growth, support, and love simply because he views solitude as the only valid path. Another risk is loneliness disguised as independence. A Sigma may feel lonely at times but convince himself it's a strength. Instead of admitting he craves connection, he reframes it as a choice. This can prevent him from facing the real need for balance between solitude and relationships. Romanticizing solitude can also limit experiences. Life is richer when shared, whether through friendships, love, or teamwork. By glorifying solitude, the Sigma male might avoid these opportunities, thinking they are weaknesses when in reality they are strengths in their own way. The blind spot is not solitude itself, but the idealization of it. Solitude is powerful when chosen with awareness, but when turned into a rule, it becomes limiting. What the Sigma doesn't always understand is that true strength comes from balance. Embracing solitude is important, but so is allowing space for meaningful connection. Thing number 4. Independence can mask avoidance. Another thing the Sigma male doesn't fully understand about himself is that independence can sometimes mask avoidance. Self-reliance is one of his greatest strengths, but it can also be a cover for avoiding vulnerability, conflict, or emotional openness. Sigma males pride themselves on solving problems alone. They don't like asking for help and prefer to carry their own weight. This independence is admirable, but it can also hide fear. Sometimes choosing independence is less about strength and more about avoiding discomfort. For example, a Sigma male might avoid close relationships because they require emotional exposure. Instead of admitting that vulnerability is difficult, he frames it as independence. He convinces himself that staying single or keeping distance is about freedom, when in reality it is about avoiding the risk of being hurt. The same applies to conflict. A Sigma may avoid arguments or deep discussions by withdrawing. He believes he is protecting his peace, but he may actually be avoiding difficult emotions. Independence becomes a shield, not just a strength. This blind spot matters because it can prevent growth. Vulnerability and conflict, while uncomfortable, often lead to deeper understanding and stronger bonds. By avoiding them, the Sigma male may miss chances to grow emotionally. It's also important to note that independence does not mean isolation. True independence includes the courage to face hard emotions, admit weaknesses, and accept support when needed. Avoidance, on the other hand, hides behind independence as an excuse. The Sigma male doesn't always see this difference. He may believe he is being strong by avoiding certain situations, when in fact he is limiting himself. Recognizing this blind spot can help him use independence as a genuine strength rather than a mask. What the Sigma doesn't always understand is that independence is at its best when it includes courage, not avoidance. Facing vulnerability and conflict with honesty makes him stronger than avoiding them under the name of self-reliance. Thing number 5. You might underestimate the need for connection. Another blind spot for Sigma males is that they often underestimate the need for connection. Humans are social by nature. Even the most independent individuals benefit from bonds that bring trust, love, and belonging. The Sigma male, however, sometimes overlooks this truth. Because he is comfortable alone, he may assume he doesn't need deep connections. He convinces himself that friendships, partnerships, or family ties are optional. While he can survive without them, thriving often requires more. Relationships provide support during challenges, perspective during confusion, and joy in shared experiences. For example, when a Sigma male faces difficulties, his instinct is to handle them alone. He rarely reaches out for help, even when it would lighten the burden. Over time, this habit can create isolation and unnecessary struggle. Connection doesn't make him weaker, it makes life more manageable. Another overlooked benefit of connection is growth. Through relationships, people learn patience, empathy, and compromise. Sigma males, by underestimating connection, may miss these lessons. They might remain strong in independence, but weaker in collaboration. Even creativity and purpose often grow through connection. Many ideas are sparked in conversation, and many goals are achieved with teamwork. By undervaluing connection, the Sigma male might limit his own potential without realizing it. This blind spot exists because connection can feel like dependence. To the Sigma, needing others feels like weakness. But in reality, connection and dependence are different. True connection is mutual. It is about sharing, not about losing independence. What the Sigma male doesn't always understand is that connection doesn't take away freedom. It enhances life by adding richness that solitude alone cannot provide. Independence gives strength, but connection gives meaning. Without both, the picture is incomplete. Thing number 6. Your independence doesn't make you infallible. The final thing the Sigma male doesn't always understand about himself is that independence does not make him infallible. Independence is often seen as the Sigma's greatest strength. He prides himself on relying on no one, making his own choices and building his own path. But sometimes this sense of independence can create the illusion of perfection. It can make him believe that because he is self-reliant, he is always right, always in control, and always strong. The truth is that no one is infallible. Everyone makes mistakes, everyone has blind spots, and everyone has moments of weakness. The Sigma male is no exception. But because he relies so heavily on independence, he sometimes struggles to admit these truths. For example, a Sigma male might push forward with a decision, convinced he doesn't need anyone's input. Later, he may discover he overlooked something important. Instead of admitting the mistake, he may quietly fix it or ignore it, unwilling to face the reality that his independence did not protect him from error. Another example is emotional struggles. Sigma males often pride themselves on emotional control, but this doesn't mean they are immune to stress, sadness, or fear. Sometimes their independence makes them hide these feelings, believing that showing them would make them weak. But ignoring emotions doesn't erase them, it only delays the process of dealing with them. This blind spot can also appear in relationships. Because Sigma males believe they can handle life alone, they may dismiss advice, help, or perspectives that could actually benefit them. Their independence turns into stubbornness, and stubbornness can lead to missed opportunities. Being fallible doesn't make the Sigma male weaker. In fact, admitting fallibility makes him stronger. Acknowledging mistakes shows maturity. Accepting feedback shows wisdom. Asking for help shows courage. These actions do not take away from his independence, they balance it. What the Sigma male doesn't always understand is that independence is a strength, but it is not armor against error. True strength includes humility, the ability to admit when you are wrong, when you need help, and when you don't have all the answers. Independence is powerful, but only when it is balanced with self-awareness and openness. The Sigma male is known for independence, strength, and self-awareness. But even he has blind spots. Understanding these blind spots doesn't make him less Sigma, it makes him more complete. He sometimes forgets that the Sigma label is more myth than truth, and that real self-awareness goes beyond archetypes. He may also be more social than he admits, connecting more deeply than he realizes. He is at risk of romanticizing solitude, turning it into an excuse for isolation. His independence can sometimes mask avoidance of vulnerability. He often underestimates the importance of connection, even though it adds richness to life. And finally, he doesn't always see that independence doesn't make him infallible. Humility and openness are just as important. These 6 truths don't take away from the Sigma identity. Instead, they add depth to it. They show that strength is not about perfection, but about balance. True independence means knowing yourself fully, including the parts you might not want to see. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more insights. And let us know in the comments, which of these 6 things surprised you the most?